How many people signed up? Yeah. Come on. We're good? Okay. 4. Okay, thanks. All right. We'll talk water. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Board President to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussion of any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Dolan, if you would give us a superintendent's report.
Okay, is this working? Yeah. All right, good. Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm going to go slowly and carefully here. And I did say that I was going to put out a letter today, but since we have a board meeting, you'll get a summary tomorrow of where we're headed. But what I'd like to start out with good news. We will be appointing 6 teachers today. And anytime you can bring in new people to the organization with some fresh ideas and some enthusiasm, I think that's always helpful. And I want to stress to everyone, the need for us to continue to be patient. Lord knows I'm not perfect, and but we are starting to move cautiously in the direction of reopening our schools, knowing full well that if the health crisis, the COVID crisis, takes a turn for the worse, we will retreat and go back to and take other action. But as we said at the last meeting, I'll say this slowly, beginning next week, and for the Mondays are going to remain virtual. We know that is, it came as a bit of a shock, and as we understand the inconvenience, and we apologize up front, but it'll help us to continue to move forward as an organization. The Mondays are going to be virtual. The virtual teaching at the elementary level will begin. We are hiring virtual teachers for K through 5 tonight. Those teachers will be here tomorrow. And then Friday, they will have their rosters, they'll begin to contact their students. We understand that it's not easy, that some children have already developed relationships with their teachers, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. And that's where we're going to have to be patient, we're going to have to go with great care. But we are hiring virtual teachers for kindergarten through 5th grade. Those classes will commence beginning of next week. And the new teachers will be reaching out on Friday to get to meet their students. As far as reopening the K through 5, and also next week, I'll stay with the beginning of October. We are going to begin on the 6 through 12 level, drawing a blank, help me out here.
Live streaming.
Live streaming, I apologize. Probably a Freudian slip on my part. And again, we understand this is a new process, a new technique in East Islip. It's not new to the world. We appreciate everyone's patience as we do this. We think moving forward, this is going to be a good thing. But we also expect the first couple of weeks, we will have some things that we're going to have to overcome as we get comfortable in this new world. And the hope is that the more our students can hear or see their teachers, the better for them. We have high expectations for the future, but we're also going to be very, very, very patient in the present. All right, so students will begin the live streaming, next Tuesday, after the virtual Monday. Then the reopening of the elementary schools. Again, November 9th is the day that we selected. We began by a meeting with the principals, and now we just want to make it clear. We've said this all along. That to do things like this will require some changes. Some students will experience teacher changes, room changes. The question of, some students are gonna be eating in the classrooms, there are gonna be changes to the lunch. We have purchased partitions, the plexiglass partitions, students will have to wear masks. There's been a lot said about masks and trying to come up with a regimented mask break. We prefer that the teachers have it at their discretion to give their children, they know their students, they know who needs a break and how, and the rhythm of the class. If you pick the same time, the same day kind of thing for a break, it's virtually impossible to line up a school that way. But we will continue to monitor that situation. And we would hope, and I do believe, that, if an individual child needs a break and they raise their hand, we can work through that. And again, we will have partitions for the kids at the elementary level. We are working, and what's going to happen, we're going to ask again for your patience. Over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be Mr. Manzo, Dr. Bells, and Mr. Harrison will work with the building principal and the teachers in the building to begin to, map out what's going, where things are going to be, what classes are going to be where. And then once we've worked with the individual buildings and the principals and the teachers, we will roll the plan out to the public. Once again, one of the reasons we picked November 9th was it gives us a solid amount of time to get people comfortable with this. The class sizes will be approximately 18 students. And, as like I said, on or about October 15th, we will be ready to begin speaking to the public in more detail and getting them better acquainted. And like I said, there are going to be some very, very tough decisions that have to be made. But along those lines, we began to talk this evening in executive session. And I'm going to reach out to the various units in the district tomorrow. The board has expressed an interest in, if it's possible, to see if we can get, to set a timetable if the health crisis, the COVID crisis, continues to stay within manageable numbers. Would it be possible, or how could we begin to look at the middle school and the high school, bringing those students back also? I think everybody agrees, this half in, half out is a very difficult way to move. We will make it work, but we would be remiss if we didn't look around. We didn't look around the island. We didn't look at our neighbors, and see what people are doing. But like I said, there's going to be a process, and we will model the process for the middle school and the high school after the elementary school. And like I said, Mr. Manzo, Mr. Harrison, and Dr. Bells will be working with the principals and the staffs in each building to get the elementaries comfortable and ready to go. Or, and then, like I said, as they do that, the board and then myself and the heads of the, I'll reach out to the heads of the units tomorrow, and we will begin to look at the possibility of bringing the secondaries back. But again, we are not going to rush. We're not going to do anything rash. I think I've answered the questions that have been, the major questions that are coming our way. And you will get more information for the elementaries on or about October 15th. And the other part is just strictly the beginning of discussion phase. I think that's it, Mrs. Corning. Did I leave anything out?
No.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Are there any public comments on agenda items only?
Yes. I have a question about non-certified personnel.
Okay.
Number 24. Physical fitness and weight training. Is that something that's new? And who exactly is that for?
No, the physical fitness and weight training is an advisor position, so it's an additional stipend. So, and that's for all students to participate.
So it's not specifically for the football
No, it's open to all students, right?
Not my,
Yeah.
not my understanding.
Yep, it's open, yeah. It is, thank you, Megan.
Megan, and I apologize because you just reminded me, I left something out of my report, I apologize, Mrs. Carney. The other thing that is, I'm very pleased to announce, look, we want the kids involved, you're gonna see it tonight, we're approving a lot of clubs tonight. And the charge is going to be, and we've taken the approach, and I really appreciate the board going in this direction. We know our clubs are gonna have to be virtual, but we're gonna approve the clubs, and then we're gonna sit down and say to people, okay, how are you gonna make them run? And I think we're gonna find a way. I've seen some very creative things already. You know, I'll give a big shout out to the mock trial. I know once you shout out to somebody, you leave a lot of people out, but mock trial plowed ahead. And really, you know, they're ready to go. And we're very confident that our club advisors will be creative and give our kids an experience. And I'm hoping we'll see the same through at theater, which will be tricky. And as far as sports go, Megan, when you stood up, I realized beginning, I think it's October 13th, a Tuesday, it looks like we're gonna be able to start moving forward with organized sports activities. A group met yesterday, and it looks like we're going to have a schedule that spreads things out a little bit so that kids don't have to double up. It looks like we're going to have fall sports, or most of our fall sports will run roughly October to the beginning of November. Then our spring sports will get some time from really, beginning of November till the beginning of December. And then in December, our winter sports will get their workouts right before their season starts. Again, we know this is not, a perfect scenario. It's not exactly what we want, but I want to applaud all the folks who met yesterday, the coaches and their reps, and Mr. Estivo, and they came up with a plan that I think allows us to begin to carefully reopen, and the workouts are going to be, again, they're open to everyone, but the workouts are going to be by cohort to limit the numbers and to try to limit some of the the interaction and try to keep to whatever social distancing guidelines there are. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to start moving forward. We have to start coming back slowly and carefully. So, and you'll see it, some schools rushed headlong into it. Many schools are starting, around the same time frame we are. But I was very comfortable with the schedule that was presented to me because, some schools are trying to double up. And by that, I mean, they want to have cross-country and track training on the same day. And that's, a lot of running for one kid. Hours are going to be spread out, taking the kids roughly from Columbus Day through the holidays. And it'll give our kids a chance to have some organized activities after school. And again, we're hoping that the clubs and our theatrical groups will find a way, and we will do everything we can to support them. So, stay tuned, and I believe in the creativity of the kids and the teachers that are working with them, and the coaches and their advisors. So, Megan, thanks when you stood up like that. I know it's not 100% what you wanted, but we do have to. We're living under the rules of Section 11. So.
Okay, any other public comment on agenda items only? No? Okay, certified personnel. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. And a motion?
Motion.
Discussion?
Second.
Discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you.
Is Jamie here? There you are. Stand up, Jamie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jamie's one of our new virtual teachers. Good luck, Jamie. Welcome to the family. And
Thanks.
unfortunately, due to COVID, we couldn't have everybody here.
That's okay.
But once this is all lifted, I want you to bring your parents here so we can congratulate them too.
Thank you.
Okay, non-certified personnel. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachment. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Actually,
Second.
okay, before we continue, I was asked to table, number 48 because it's the wrong name. So Stephanie, if you could table 48.
Sure.
And then did you want to abstain from any, Mr. Montoya, or are you fine with it?
Those two, but.
Yeah, so, and then Mr. Montori is going to abstain from number 39 and 47.
Would you please, thank you.
Okay? So exclusive of the 39 and 47, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then 39 and 47, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. We'll pass, and just with that one tabled item 48.
Got it.
All right, thank you. Moving on, I don't think it's necessary to do consent, we only have two items. The AED CPR training, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. The Board of Education approves the renewal of the contract with Advanced Security Training, doing business as Advanced Training Center of Long Island, to conduct AED CPR training at a cost of $50 per custodial staff during the 2021 school year. This expense will be paid from the general fund. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Excess workers' compensation insurance. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approve the renewal of the excess workers' compensation insurance coverage with Midwest employers effective October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. The cost is $64,379 or 5.59% higher than the 2019, 2020?
No, actually, the previous
It
term
was for
was
2
2
years?
years.
Okay, so this is only a one-year term? Okay, higher than the previous term. Any motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
I just have one question, is that a normal 5.9 or are we using more people on comp or?
The market for this type of insurance is very limited. It is in the range of the other quotes we received. This covers the district for claims that exceed $500,000.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to old business. Do you have any old business?
Under old business, I just want to ask, and I know we're still working on it, Mr. Dolman, but we are in the elementary schools, we are going to be using the gym, the cafeteria, and other rooms for the, when we do go full-time.
Again, now that we've made the decision, if we have to, we will. But we are looking at creating whatever safe space can handle the students that we need. So if we need the gym and we need the cafeteria, we will use them.
Right, and okay, and also the barriers that we're buying, have they come in yet?
Yeah, I'll go, oh, I have them right here. But also, Mr. Montori, just so you know, we now that we've hired the virtual teachers, it's given us a little bit of breathing room and.
Right.
You know, with the barriers, the class sizes are a little bit bigger, so, you know, we are going to try to, and again, it could be different from building to building. Remember, populations of these buildings, especially RCK and JFK, are different. So, what we're gonna do everything we can to limit, or we would prefer to keep kids, you know, out of the gym and out of the cafeteria if possible, because those are big areas and it can be distracting.
Right, also, on those, do they cover the desk completely? Oh, because they look a little large for the elementary, Mr. Harrison?
These were specified for the elementary school.
For the elementaries, good, okay.
And there is a film on it, so I didn't take all the film off, but this is the clear part.
And they're gonna be cleaned obviously every day after the kids.
Yeah, we're putting those plans together, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Harrison, I think I asked you last time, you said the state has started to withhold some payments as anticipated. Do you have any numbers as far as, so far this year, has the state withheld any payments from us that we should be entitled to?
For the 2019-20 school year, about $200,000 has been withheld on the last few payments from that school year. In addition, we were expecting a large payment tomorrow, so we're waiting to see if 20%'s been deducted from that. So lots still to be said here. There are indications that what we're seeing in reaction from Albany is very similar to what happened back in the previous reduction in state aid, so.
2009?
Yeah. So, and again, review with the board previously that if there is a state cut of that magnitude, normally it's a 3 or 4 year period before funds are restored. And it's not that funds are given back for those previous years, it just brings us to the level where we were 4 years prior. So a 20% state aid cut for East Islip means about $7 million reduction in aid. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll be able to give some more concrete information on just where we're heading.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go into my weekly, because it's a weekly rant about what we're doing. First of all, I just wanna bring up, are we gonna have some sort of day where we're gonna practice a full remote situation for the secondary kids? And the elementary, I guess, but I'm thinking secondary right now. In case we have to go out, we haven't practiced whether or not we can even
Well, part of what we did in the beginning with the virtual Mondays gave us a chance to look at the system, to see how that works. That's a great question. Are you basically saying, are we gonna have a fire drill? At this point, let's see how the live streaming goes. We know it's going to be an adjustment.
Well, I kind of know where the live stream is going to go, but
You gotta, Mr. Cook, you gotta think positive, because if we have to go out again, and again, this can be debated all day long, but connecting with the kids in that sort of, I'll call it genre, is the most, I would say, efficient way to do it.
I 100% agree. My disagreement is not live streaming. My disagreement is live streaming half the kids in, half the kids home. I think the evidence shows, I know we think it's going to work, but it hasn't worked. I mean, I know it's a special community and we do great things here, but the evidence has shown that it doesn't work.
Look, we all, I think we're all in agreement, half in, half out is, I'm not gonna use the term that just came to my mind. And I keep saying this, by Thanksgiving, if we have found our stride, and this will be, it's a difficult situation, but we're also now hearing more and more, and at my meetings, things like Regents exams, which I've always loved the Regents exam. 1865 till now, I think they gave us, they were well-grounded, never was a big fan of the 3 to 8 tests, but the Regents exams, but the inequities from district to district, and we've said this over and over again, in the absence of a regional plan, we've pitted school district against school district, we've pitted, parents against their own district where they work. These comparisons are not in any way, shape, or form healthy. What you're asking about a virtual day, I think there's been some discussion, and I haven't had a chance to speak to all the units. There was some internal discussion, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here. What are we gonna do on election day when we've got all these people coming to vote? And after what we saw last night, I have a feeling there's gonna be a large turnout, hopefully a lot of write-ins. In all seriousness, it would probably behoove us to practice it one day, but let's give this a chance to run. You know, and I keep stressing this, you know, it's, you know, the content, we can always catch up on content. You know, this is we're in uncharted waters. And I can pick up the phone and call anybody to get them to agree with any opinion that I hear. But we have to continue to stay the course. You know, we're playing with the hand we're dealt in East Islip. And, you know, we are going to be very patient with our teachers, very patient with our students. And, you know, I thought of an answer to your question, if a child's homesick, you know, how do we deal with them? Think about it, they're homesick, they can watch, but since you're sick, you can't turn your microphone on because you can't share the germs. Because that'll negate a child just checking out and staying home. But as I said at the beginning, we are now going to explore what you just said, the full virtual, in case we have to go that way. But also, schools are starting to go back full time. And I have to tell you, you know, before I even have a lot of conversation, I'm going to go see it. I want to go walk into those buildings, and I know enough, been around long enough that I can get myself into these buildings, and I want to see how they're doing it. But yeah, we all agree, the hybrid is not where we want to be.
I just feel like we're compounding already a bad situation. I don't think the live stream is going to help us at all. I know why we're going to it, but I don't think it's going to help the majority of the students. And there are going to be repercussions as a result of it. That's what's been the case where people have done it. So I'm not saying that as just an opinion.
Billy, do you
A
think
lot
it's
of these-
better than what we did in April and May? Or do you think that's better for the children?
No, what we did in April and May, we're talking about two different things, right? If we were live streaming April and May 5 days a week from the classrooms, that would have been better than what we did in April and May, but we were forced to do it that way in April and May. I'm saying we're trying to do something in the hybrid, and now we're compounding that era. We're trying to do something in the hybrid, it has been unworkable, but now we're compounding the era with the live stream. And I just want to make sure that we are going to be patient with everyone involved in it, and that we've clearly articulated what we expect from the live stream. Because I know there's going to be some kid at 18 Pine Tree Lane who's going to be loving the live stream, let me tell you. And I just know that's going to happen. It's happened everywhere. That's why a lot of these schools that we're talking about are going back full time are going back full time, because they realized it didn't work. So I would like to see us either one or the other, either full in, full remote. This hybrid, I just feel like we're going down the wrong path.
And I keep saying, you know.
Well, we'll find out, I don't know.
Oh, no.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We are definitely going to find out.
I like this argument back and forth though.
No, we're not arguing. We have to take the steps slowly and carefully. We are going to be very patient. The other part to this equation is, when they kicked open the door and said that anybody who doesn't want to come to school, we have to somehow accommodate them. I get that. That becomes very tricky. It is going to be tough, and people are going to have to be patient. And you know, remember, even in a classroom, you know, when you're in a classroom, a kid doesn't snap his fingers like this to bring the teacher over. Kid raises their hand, and then the teacher says, "I'm going to get to you." Or if the teacher's working, you know, "I'll get to you in a little bit." You know, the teacher might be helping 3 or 4 kids. Now, one of the visions we have is, you know, we don't expect the teacher to stand there and talk for 40 minutes, but the teacher can come on, introduce the lesson, you know, with the do now, give a couple of examples, let's say it's a math class or whatever it may be, and then, you know, say, look, right at that little camera and say, all right, you folks work on these problems. I'm going to be working with your classmates. I'll be back in a little while, or I'll, you know, work on these. I'll see, you know, depending what the assignment was, because, you know, as a social studies teacher, if it's an essay, you might say to the students, now work on your essay. And again, it's going to take a tremendous amount of patience. And my urging is let the students and the teachers find a way. The more, that administrators or parents, try to push this one way or the other, and I keep saying this is a temporary situation. If we're still talking about this next September, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pick myself up and get up the stairs anymore. We are, hoping and praying that the spring, if we can incrementally get better, and you're seeing the numbers, people wearing masks, people being smart, to the kids out there who wanna go play, keep your masks on, please. If our numbers are good, and we have to stay tough, we have to stay strong, and we have to be incredibly patient. And then again, once, we keep saying this, once we get, once the corona fog is burned off, I think we're gonna see that we have some new tools in our tool belt. We have a wonderful facility, and people, it's gonna take a little bit of time for people to get back moving in the right direction. But I hear everything you're saying, we've thought about it, we've talked about it, it's time to move on.
I'll just register my complaints on a weekly basis.
Just
Okay,
keep calling me every morning
any
at
other new
7 o'clock.
business, any other old business? I'd like to just make a compliment to the teachers that I watched and the feedback I received from the parents that I spoke to in the past week. The Meet the Teacher was very easy, and to sit next to your child while they navigated and showed you what they were doing on the Google Classroom, I think that was terrific. And I heard positive feedback. I heard a few parents, they couldn't figure it out. Well, that was because you were supposed to sit with your kid and do it with them. But I thought it was so much easier than walking around that high school. I was like, okay, this is, and the disappointment when you get to that one class and that teacher had a family commitment and wasn't there for the Meet the Teacher. Every one of the teachers that, my daughter has presented, and it was nice. And you could tell that they're trying their best, and I really appreciated that. And that was the feedback I got from most people that weighed in, and I did hear from a number of people that weighed in, So I don't know if you guys had a similar, I know you have grandkids that you're,
Very
they
well,
had to meet the teacher,
excellent.
so good. I just wanted to say thanks, and we appreciate the parents, and the board appreciates that effort. Okay, we will, if there's no other old business, we'll move on to new business. I'd just like to start, just note in the minutes, Stephanie, Mr. Nicoli, I just want to note that you have not completed your mandated New York State board training. So if we could address that the next time you're meeting, that would be great.
Noted. Thank you. It'll be done this weekend.
Thank you. Okay, any other new business?
I just want to make sure that, these new virtual teachers, that we're going to do everything. Being a virtual teacher is a tough job. So, you're dealing with young people on a computer. You don't get to see them just through the computer. They have issues with technology. That we're going to, focus on helping these new people. And the same thing, patience and support, because there's a lot of support that goes into this. It's a heavy lift. It's not as easy as people might think it is to teach through the computer. So I hope that we're making sure that these virtual kids are getting the education they deserve.
I would like to second that, and I can only imagine how difficult it is to teach, which I know to be a difficult profession. And on top of that, they're going to have to take on the role of almost IT troubleshooter and probably therapist. So I wish them the best of luck, and I hope that all of the parents keep that in mind and take it easy on them while they get their feet on the ground.
Any other new business? No? Okay. I'm actually just going to summarize. We had a few emails of community members that wrote in prior to the meeting, so that way we can address that. Erin Dorgan, please clarify the plan to bring back K-5 full-time. What is anticipated teacher to class size ratio? Will all students remain with their current teacher, and will social distancing be implemented? So I think you handled that in your superintendent's report. Kelly Tassi, Timber Point first grade parent. What is solid plan for our fully virtual students? October was supposed to bring change. Again, you addressed that. We just hired the virtual teachers. Gina Casso, when will virtual teaching commence? Again, we just addressed that. It's gonna be commencing on the 6th, right?
The 5th.
The 5th for the virtual children. Will virtual teacher be completely synchronous, meaning live instruction on core subjects given daily while we were promised? Details if we can switch to full-time in November for elementary. If all students are going back, why wouldn't this be an option for virtual? So if you would just, why virtual students, can they or can they not go back in November?
You know, we asked people to make a commitment till January. What I will say is, you know, as things evolve, and we did say back in late August, early September, that, you know, that we would be having, the virtual would change October 5th. We would kick in with the virtual teachers at the elementary level and the live streaming at the secondary level for the virtual students. That being said, you know, I will listen to any appeals, but make no promises. You know, as I've learned over the years, the simple answer is, you know, if you signed up for virtual, you were signed up through, you know, till the end of January. But if there is going to be an appeal for whatever reason, you know, I will listen, but we have to be conscious of class sizes, and we are going to, as we work with the buildings over the next 2 weeks, we want these buildings to be safe, and, you know, we're prepared to make changes in January. We're not really prepared to make changes before that. But again, we will listen, and I could envision a situation where we may put you on a waiting list, and if it's possible, we'll call you. But I'm gonna stress, you know, I'll you know, Mr. Manso, Mr. Harrison, and Dr. Bells are gonna be busy working with the principals and the staffs at each school, and the reps for the buildings. So I will take appeals for that, but I'll say it one more time, I'll listen, I'll take the appeal, but I will make no promises, because when, you know, we told you virtual was going to be until, you know, January, and, you know, we're not gonna jeopardize everyone else, if it's not possible.
Okay, thank you. Marie, do we have any?
It's not plugged in.
Mine is not plugged in? You're not plugged in? That's okay. I'll watch on the screen.
I have it here.
Yeah. You have it? Okay.
It's on here.
All right.
Liv Zilberstein. Am I just supposed to stand here or go
You can
there?
go up to the podium.
Where's the microphone?
Actually, it's
It's
on.
on,
Yeah, if you wanna just grab that mic.
I got it.
The podium's backwards. Okay,
yeah,
but-
that's all right, sorry.
It's like just
You want me to flip it?
shorter than I
I'll
actually am. No, it's okay.
All right.
It's okay. My name's Liv Zilberstein. I have 2 kids, one in 6th grade and one in 8th grade. Mr. Dolan, you've spoken to my husband a couple of times. He's the one who works at Southside. I wasn't sure if I was going to come today. And I decided to come after getting the post from Parent Square that was posted today at 3:00. And I'm not sure how parents are supposed to put in their questions at noon today when the post actually came out at 3. So I don't think a lot of parents have even seen what the phase 2 is going to look like to be able to have questions for this board meeting. And I guess I came here and I had so many issues that I was, while sitting down and listening to you all, I was trying to figure out how to encapsulate it into one thing. And it was really surprising to hear about, you know, really good things, because from what I hear in my parents group and the people I speak to, and I speak to a lot of parents too, is that they're all really frustrated. And the frustration isn't coming out of the fact that we're in a pandemic, because everyone, all the districts are in a pandemic. But the frustration is coming out of the erosion of trust and confidence that we have in the East Islip School District. And I'm very sad to say that because I moved here from Chicago 5 years ago. I spoke to Dr. Belts at that time because we actually looked at all the schools. We looked at Sayville, we looked at here, we looked at Bayshore. I even met with the superintendent at Sayville, so we did our homework. Really liked East Islip. That's the reason why I'm here, to really tell you the other side, maybe the silent majority, that's not gonna say anything because they don't rock the boat. I don't ever rock the boat, so it's not a comfortable position for me to be up here. They're not going to do anything. They're either just going to move out or they're going to look at Catholic and private schools because they don't think the education needs of their kids are being met. You want to talk about what's happening now. My kids are essentially getting 2 days of school. I understand 2 days are remote. I think as I understand it from last month, where we were told we were going to get Mondays as direct school learning. We were told a couple of weeks ago that it's going to go to live streaming. And today we're going to be told that it's virtual and it's remote, but not live streaming for Monday. The second thing is I read, I'm not sure if this is true, maybe you could confirm this for me, but the live streaming for those 2 days that my kids aren't in school, the first 10 minutes is going to be synchronous, but the other 30 minutes is going to be at the teacher's discretion, which means after 10 minutes, they can turn off the mic and they can turn off the audio, and basically my kids are left doing their own thing after that 10 minutes. That is not enough. Please tell me how my kid in 8th grade who is doing Regents for science and for algebra is going to compete with kids in Jericho who's going full-time, kids in Syosset who's going full-time, and kids in Wading River who's going full-time. Please tell me how they're going to complete the curriculum in East Islip when they're going twice a week. And maybe their teachers will live stream the whole entire lesson. So in the past 3 weeks, I can tell you that the inconsistency of the teachers have run the gamut. There have been excellent teachers who have taken the whole entire time, Mondays included, to actually live stream their classes. And then there are teachers who will go on for 5 minutes, literally take attendance, and switch it off. So please tell me, with that inconsistency, you say live, when kids can hear and when kids can see their teachers, they learn better. And we do have high expectations. Yes. Where is that? Because right now, that is surely lacking. And I understand that we need to have patience in this pandemic. I understand that. But patience comes at a cost. Patience comes at a cost of these kids languishing at home. There are kids right now that are suffering because they are not in-person instruction. We thought, okay, fine. You know, a lot of the parents think, okay, live instruction can't be done, maybe we'll do live streaming. But now we're told we're gonna have 10 minutes live streaming, guaranteed, and then 30 minutes after that. And what happened to Mondays? So I'm just telling you what's happening. I know that as one person, I really can't change anything, but I'm just letting you know, guaranteed, if this goes on, the attrition rate, particularly for academically inclined kids, are going to go up. Because there's not going to be a problem for some parents to put them, as they already do now, in competitive private and Catholic schools. And I'm sorry to have to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen Whitney.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to clarify some things that I said the other night. First, I'd like to say that the teachers and administrators at Timber Point are doing a phenomenal job considering the circumstances they are faced with. My son's current teacher, Mrs. LaFalce, prior teacher, Mrs. Brotman, and Mrs. Nacarado should be commended for their hard work and dedication.
Can I just ask you that if you're gonna speak specifically about your children, to just
Nope.
talk in generalities, we try not
No
to
names,
target specific people
sorry.
and students, okay?
You got
Thank
it.
you.
When I spoke of opening my son's backpack and not seeing writing, I wasn't referring to the lack of academic instruction from his teacher. I was trying to explain through tears and frustration how difficult and developmentally inappropriate it is for a 6-year-old to be expected to produce work on the Google Classroom platform. I understand and also follow the procedures and guidelines due to COVID restrictions, but we need to take into consideration that when the board decides on a plan for elementary age children that is developmentally appropriate and that the plan is fluid, clearly communicated, monitored, and adjusted when feedback from teachers is given. We should all be in this together for the well-being of our children. We should all be able to rest our heads at night knowing that our children's academic, social, and emotional health is our first priority. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming back.
Thanks. I'll be back. I like it.
Megan O'Hara.
Good evening. As you know, I've written many emails. I wanted to express my disappointment for the lack of support for our student athletes by the superintendent and the Board of Education. Repeatedly, we have asked for a letter to be written, as other districts have done, telling Section 11 that you do not agree with their decision to postpone low-risk fall sports. Clearly, this decision is all about logistics. Unfortunately, the meeting that you had online was a half an hour, and the Q&A section was cut off, so everyone couldn't ask their questions. What will change in January?
Well, first of all, I feel terrible that you don't think we're supporting the athletes. Okay, we have been in communication with Section 11. We also understand the need to support the region, because you don't have athletics if you're not a united region. As some of the upstate regions are seeing, not every school is prepared to move forward. January, what we envision for January is the seasons are going to start. And Section has posted, and I don't remember the exact dates, but essentially you're going to have your winter season starting in January. Your fall season will start at the end of February, beginning of March, and then your spring season will start May and go till June. So we fully expect, and we will be prepared for our student athletes to have their seasons. And as I stated earlier, I think we've come up with an organized way for our student athletes to get some practice time in, beginning October 13th.
Okay, on that, you said most. Does that include something for swim?
Oh no, I apologize. As far as I know,
All sports.
the
Yeah, believe me.
Okay.
And if I could just,
The
if I
word
could cut
most.
Mr. Dolan off just for a minute. I don't just get it when I'm here in the board, I get it at home too. I have a student athlete at
I
home.
know.
And I get it from all my friends,
Yeah.
So, we're taking it as we go. We're following the guidelines that we're being given. So, and we're doing the best that we can. And this is going to, again, show the disparity of the kids with money that can play club sports right now
Absolutely.
and the kids that can't. So that breaks my heart personally.
Absolutely.
That there are kids that can sign up and play club sports right now on the sport in the season and be seen, while other kids can't because either there is no club for their sport or their family unfortunately can't afford it. So, so
Or we can't get a
we are
pool.
supporting our student athletes.
And we are under the, Connecticut very generously, they're working with us, the way we work with Bayport for volleyball. And we try to support each other. And I am gonna say this, I was on that committee that, that section, I think it was 14 years. And one of the things that committee does is provides a corporate shield. Because I'll tell you right now, and I'm not gonna name names, but I know that there are districts that are not inclined or prepared or feel that it's safe to play. So you would have been pitting school district against school district. And again, you're seeing that, and I haven't really looked into this. I've heard this in meetings. I'm a little too busy to really worry about what's going on upstate. But there are sections upstate where some schools are playing and some schools are not, and it's just created a tremendous divide. I've been 35 years working with Section 11. The last two directors were actually my bosses at one time. We've had some pretty heated discussions, having been in those rooms. For them to come out with a unanimous vote the way they did tells me that there was division within the county. And I think Mr. Combs said it best. Tom's been doing this a long time. And there's no bigger supporter, his assistant, Pete Blyberg, lives right around the corner here over on Manhattan, I think. So I don't want to blow you up, Pete. But, Tom and Pete are two of the biggest supporters of athletics I've ever met, two really good guys. And Tom said, we're going to be in this all for one, one for all. And they are all in, ready to go beginning in January. And I think the fact that we now have some organized practices, we have a schedule, we're trying to move things forward. Look, it's nobody wants this. Mr. Kopluck and I have, had some really good conversations about, we want to be all in, one way or the other, all in. I think Section, and they worked with Section 8 in Nassau County.
Yes, I know.
And I will tell you right now, just reading the tea leaves from the outside, because I was not in there. The superintendent representative. We have two superintendent's reps who we communicate with, and they take our, it's a representative democracy, they take our voice into the room. It tells me that there are school districts, and I don't know which ones, that are, were either not prepared or not comfortable moving forward, and that would have created inequities. So we're gonna move together, all together, starting in January.
I still disagree, just for the record, and I think logistics are not going to change. And unfortunately, the rumor mill that I'm hearing from coaches and athletic directors is that it's a money issue, and that's not going to change. But I'll hope.
Megan, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not, Ms. Harrison, have I ever asked you for money for sports? Besides, some of the no, it's not. It is not. This is not a money issue.
Okay.
This is a very.
I'm not saying our district, I'm saying in general.
Okay.
Okay, so on to academics. You mentioned having a fire drill, so to speak. Google Meets, the point of it for virtual Mondays was that then when something happened, there was a closure, we could do that. Friday was an opportunity for that fire drill. That did not happen. My child now has a geometry test tomorrow. She went to school one day last week. That's it. She gets a test. And yes, they're doing tons of tests, by the way, on the 2 days that they're in school. So now she has this geometry test. The other cohort went to school 2 days last week, a day this week, and they're taking the test. She went one day and is taking the same test. There's no equity there. It's an issue. The Phase 2 plan provides less direct instruction. In a 9-period day without lunch, they could actually go to school for 45 to 90 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes. Older kids are going to be told their expectations. So the expectation would be do some quadratic equations today and then turn it off, and they're on their own again. This is not live streaming. This is not instruction. It's still 2 days, and we're losing Mondays now because Monday is essentially extra help.
What happened to Mondays?
It's
happens
essentially
Mondays?
extra help. Finally, emails. I sent an email on 9/21. Actually, my daughter texted me while I was coming up here. She just found out that her AP money's due tomorrow. Had no idea. So there's a lack of communication that's going on. what's happening right now is just, it's not working.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you're aware of these things, so that's why I'm making you aware.
I just, personally, the AP letter did come home with the instructions and, again, I am with you, and unless you engage them, I get it, I
I don't
totally
know
get
when
it.
no,
but
she's telling me she didn't,
It's
I
on
don't know
there,
when
but
it
it's
came
also on
home.
some of the teachers, if you ask them to show you, that's what I mean, like, if you're engaging, then,
Ask them to show
I know
me.
what you're saying.
I'm not gonna be
You're
on
saying-
top of my seniors, so I'm
Right.
not looking in her Google Classroom, but she's telling me she has no idea that there was AP money due tomorrow. Maybe if people
And I'm sure,
email back.
I'm sure that the guidance department, when they will be, flexible with that too, because I know that, but I think we had to pay online. Didn't we have to pay online this year?
I knew about the ACE
So,
program,
yeah.
I got that came home,
Yeah, and I
so
thought
we
we got an
signed up
email
for
too,
that,
so,
for French,
Yeah,
but we had no idea
okay.
about that. So is there going to be some kind of, next time school is closed, or every time school is closed, there was instruction?
Right, and that one falls on my shoulders. I mean, we didn't find out till it was almost 4:45 when I got the phone call and we kicked into gear with the Department of Health. When I say we, it was Dr. Bells, Mr. Stevo, Mr. Manto, Mr. Harrison. On top of that, we had a little excitement at the last board meeting. And yeah, you're right, we dropped the ball on that one, all right? And I think I said, all right, so, lesson learned. I don't know, call me silly, but I'm optimistic that next week's gonna come, the live streaming's gonna start. And I do believe in my heart of hearts, if I was teaching, if I was still in the classroom, once I got comfortable, and we are using the Mondays to let, for the teachers to, I've said this before, get comfortable with the new stuff that we've thrust upon them. I'm hoping to see, and I believe we're going to see, better communication, better delivery of instruction. It's going to take a little bit of time. And as the teachers grow more and more confident and comfortable, and I believe in them, and I'm willing to give them, time to figure this out. Some people are a little more advanced than others. We see that. I see that with I got 2 boys still in college, and, very uneven. But, as I say to my boys, my one son was complaining about a teacher today, and I said, Matt, she sounds like a very nice person.
You're not supposed to tell people my names.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Sounds like a very nice person. Give her a chance, right? And this is the thing that, the thing that I think is hurting us the most right now is, yes, people are frustrated, people are angry. I have no problem listening. But, just there's a real nasty undercurrent of, we need to be perfect, all right? We have made some strides, and we have more strides to make, and we will make them. I'm very confident in that. But it is going to take some time. It is going to take some time. And I believe we will come out of this better. But I like to say, you don't burn the fog off by being cold. You gotta burn the fog off with positive energy. And, if I was in the classroom right now, facing the changes, so these revolutionary changes that we've seen in the last couple of months, I'm not sure how I would hold up. And like I said, I believe in the teachers, I believe in the administrators, and I believe in the kids. And I think we, every day we wanna get better. So I'm gonna continue to say, we're gonna get there. If we don't, then there'll be somebody else sitting behind this microphone.
Okay, well, hopefully in another month, I won't have to come back here,
Well, no,
and
Megan,
it
I'll
will
miss
be
you.
good.
Listen, Megan, if you
Thank
don't
you.
come back, I'm gonna miss you. So hopefully in another month we're better, and the month after that we're better.
Or is there anyone else?
One more.
One more?
Andrea Ross.
That's it.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I didn't want to be here tonight at all. I wanted to be on my couch dreaming of next Monday when there were going to be 5 days of live instruction, 2 in school, 3 at home, virtual synchronous instruction. Mr. Dolan, you told me a month ago at a board meeting, and you told the whole community that that was going to happen. The biggest problem is not that it's not going to happen. The biggest problem is there was no explanation or notification that it wasn't going to happen, except for one tiny mention, I think, last week to let us know it wasn't going to happen. And then everybody's like, wait, what did he just say?
Here. Correct.
Where is the why in this? Mr. Carpluck, you asked, where's the fire drill? Where's the practice for the live instruction? We were told that September Mondays was the practice for the live synchronous instruction. September Mondays were check in, how you doing, okay, goodbye, after 5, maybe 7 minutes. That doesn't allow a teacher to practice the live instruction. I am a teacher myself. I know it's difficult. I know it takes time to learn, but you can't learn unless you actually jump in and do it. Mr. Dolan, remember, dive into the pool? Remember you said it was a mistake not to let them dive into the pool last spring. They're not diving into the pool yet. It's just being delayed and delayed and delayed. The only way they're going to be able to do it is to jump in and actually try it. Now we're going into another month where supposedly we're going to start to try it. 5 to 10 minutes of instruction, which is not even going to be instruction. It's going to be hello, take attendance. Okay, now you do your remote work like you've been doing all the other days. This is not instruction. And I don't think any of your teachers will say that posting assignments and telling kids to do the assignment constitutes good instruction. Your teachers are better than that. We have excellent teachers in this district. They need to be on that camera and teach. And yes, there'll be fumbles. And yes, they'll feel uncomfortable. But my kids and everybody else's kids need instructional time. You mentioned earlier that not doing Mondays is an inconvenience. It's not just an inconvenience. And especially for our secondary kids, it's not an inconvenience. You know what? Mostly I go to work and leave my kids at home. It doesn't inconvenience me much at all. What it is a loss of a day of instruction. For years, we've all been told seat time, instruction is important. Be in contact with your teachers. It's very important. Now suddenly it's okay to just be given assignments. It's not. And I don't think anyone in this room or any of your teachers think it is. So why are we waiting again to start the live instruction? 5 to 10 minutes check-in is not okay.
We actually did discuss it at the last week's meeting about the devices and that not every household have the devices and we're still waiting. Hopefully we'll have those in a number of days and they'll be distributed. So that's what is pretty much holding us up.
Well, last spring, people were online doing assignments, and all Mondays, people are online doing assignments. So somehow we're piecing it together to do it. I suggest we try the live instruction with whatever phones, devices that we're using. Waiting is just losing time. And everybody is like, well, what happens when they take the regents? How are they going to pass? You know what? I could care less about the regents. We've all been saying it's not about teaching to the test, right? It's about education. Are my kids getting a good education? They are not.
Yeah.
I would like them in school 5 days a week, but I would also like to keep them safe. So I'm fine with a hybrid plan. It's fine. You know what? I make sure they get all their assignments done the best I can. It is not easy. But do not ask me to keep my kids home and then offer no live instruction for them. 3 days a week now, no live instruction. And the last time I spoke at the board meeting, I mentioned, we don't need Mondays for extra help. We don't need Mondays for contact the teacher if you need to. We have extra help days for that, before school and after school, just like normal. Mondays should be live instruction. I don't understand the reason why we keep putting off. The decisions keep changing. I'm not sure who's making the decisions. I don't think anybody in this room, Board of Education, Superintendent, anybody thinks that more time remote with assignments is best instruction. So what are we waiting for? Why are we putting it off?
You know, Mrs. Ross, I think I said before that there are going to be times where the teacher goes on and says, this is what we're doing, you work on that. I taught for 15 years. There were times that I talked for the whole period, and there were times that I talked for a couple of minutes, and then I worked with the kids individually. This has been the charge that the teacher is gonna be live, and then the class is going to develop. I don't know what you teach, but I'm sure there are days that, and the tough part is now, we can't do the group work that we wanted to do, the synergistic learning that has been sort of, made more difficult. But it's not, and I'm not sure where this is coming from, it's not 5 minutes on and off, it's going to depend what the teacher's lesson is for the day. There were days that I had kids working on essays, and I would give them the essay, they would start writing in class, and then you had the ability to help them while they write the essay. There's not much to be said there, except, move around and have individual conversation. It depends on the grade level, it depends on the lesson, it depends on what, the teacher's teaching style. And again, we said this in August, and now we're saying it again. We said at the beginning of the meeting, we are evaluating, is it possible to get the middle school back in? Is it possible to get the high school all in? Our goal is to get everybody back in, or as Mr. Karpluk said, either all in or all virtual.
I think in the meantime, it's important to approve what we are able to do. And I would ask you, where's the data? I'll give you a little bit of data. Okay, my kids, both in secondary school, one in middle school, one in high school, they have 16 teachers between them. For each of them, one teacher records a lesson with her speaking and showing a lesson. One out of all the teachers. My son has one teacher who decided he wasn't posting any assignments for September at all. Maybe he'll do it in October, he told them. So I don't know what that is. I guess that's teacher discretion. Again, you have some wonderful teachers. You absolutely do. But teacher discretion, I don't think is completely enough. There needs to be some expectation, and then there needs to be some data. You know what? At the beginning of October, how many minutes of live instruction did we give? Beginning of November, how many are we up to now? Not just teacher discretion. I understand what you're talking about. They're great teachers who open a class, give an assignment, check in, help the kids as they go. Wonderful. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the teachers who are uncomfortable maybe being on the camera, doing the live instruction, and they're just posting assignments because that they are comfortable with. I think we need to look at our results. What are our results? What is actually happening?
And I'm confident that if, we can help them, if a teacher needs help, they need some kind of support. But if you're telling me that a teacher's not posting work, we'd like to know about it, because then we can get them the help we need.
So I knew you'd say that, and I decided, you know what? Whoever your supervisors are need to be checking in on each teacher. It's not up to each parent to be the rat and call in, because quite frankly, this teacher was a wonderful teacher for my daughter. I don't know what's happening now, but it's up to their supervisors and you to check in and make sure all the teachers are meeting some minimum requirement. There needs to be a minimum requirement.
We actually did ask for an October report from our Director of Technology for that information.
Great.
To see where we are technology-wise and how many, what our reach is. Both the teachers, the way the Google Classrooms are, and the kids, how much time is. So that'll speak. So again, it's only been a month. I know it's a frustrating month.
We only have 10.
We're
Yes.
overlooking. I know we're
We only have
overlooking.
10 months.
Right, but we are looking at and trying to improve every day. Mr. Dolan is trying to improve, and he's getting feedback, and, as you said, that's unacceptable in my opinion also, for that anecdote that you used of your children and the teachers. So I do hope that you reach out to Mr. Dolan's office and, and you do express, directly or email me, I'm happy to say, so that way they can be coached up. You're right, and sometimes you don't even realize they didn't get to it yet, or whatever the circumstances, so.
And I will take exception when you said, the word rat. I mean, this is not a punitive place. We are trying to get our learning community to try new things at a very scary time. And, all the help that we can get. I mean, my promise is, we don't barge in and say, oh, we got a phone call. There are a lot of really good people who have worked many years in a very effective way, who have had their world blown up. And, and honestly, what scares me is they don't necessarily want to run in and ask for help. And, there are some people that, like I said, who've had wonderful records here, who we trust. And I remember as a teacher, I'd sit down and do my grades, and every quarter it seemed like there was one kid, nice kid, always polite, said hello. And I looked at the grade at the end of the quarter and I went, whoa, I missed it. He wasn't doing his work. And in the busyness of the day, that I always say this, teaching is an easy job until the kids show up. And look, if we can help, we want to get out there and help. One of the things that I'll say publicly, one of the things I'm going to try to do this year is get into every single classroom and do some kind of formal written thing to a teacher to express to them the gratitude and to thank them, but also to say, hey, look, now's your chance. This is the time, this year is the time to try new things and not be afraid, because there's the inequity from district to district, the delivery of instruction from district to district. There's always been inequity, but now it's just been exacerbated, and quite frankly, people comparing districts here, there, and everywhere. So we are looking for anybody and everybody who wants to help. And like I said, if there is someone who is struggling because they're not quite sure how to get into this new world, I'd much rather be able to go in there, you put your arm around his shoulder and say, come on, let's get going. Or it's not going to be me, because I that's not my forte. But get people the help and the support, and there have been some really, really vicious and nasty attacks that it just boggles my mind until I turn on a debate where I see, the leaders of the country fighting and screaming at each other. We are living in a time of, terrible unrest. People are losing their jobs. People are losing their businesses. And people are scared. And, we will get through this. We will get through this together. So you're not being a rat if you call up and say, hey, I'm not seeing anything here. Give us the chance to help. Yes, we have supervisors, but I'll be the first one to say, I know I miss things. I'll be the first one to say I make more mistakes probably than anybody, but you just keep getting back up and you keep going. So.
Well, I'm going to leave that particular teacher to you, and I'm not going to name that teacher to anyone. But putting that teacher aside, more instruction from all the other teachers. And if what's holding us up is inequity because some kids don't have devices, let's take up a collection. Really, let's take a collection, buy them iPads if that's what's available, and let's get going. I mean, I know there's many people who will just donate and take care of that.
I've said this before,
Ma'am, I don't think it's the funds that are the issue. I think it's the availability of devices.
Chris, they're on the way. I've said this, last year at this time, we were trying to decide how many grades to buy, 2 to 4. This board had, invested in a device for every child. We are, everybody's backlogged. They're actually at the airport, ready to be delivered. We are hoping to have them by mid-October. But the district made a huge commitment in a very short period of time. We're going to be a one-to-one district in about 6 months during a pandemic, where most districts, even the best districts on Long Island, some of them, when you say best, they have good, some good public relations people. It took 2 and 3 and 4 years for them to become one-to-one districts. I went to visit a one-to-one district about a week ago, and my friend said to me, John, you're trying to do in 3 weeks what we did in 3 years. I said, no, we're going to get it done in 3 months. But just because we have the devices, the next step is getting our people up and running and comfortable, and I'm excited. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm excited and I'm optimistic that this live streaming thing is going to catch fire and it's going to be good. And that's my
I hope so. When you get the devices, how long do they take to then get out to the students?
It's funny, I said to our tech director, I said to Richie Z today, as soon as they get here, all hands on deck. He asked me, he said very nicely, do you think the cafeteria downstairs will be cleaned out so we can work on it? I said, Richie, I don't care. We'll set up tables on the football field if the weather's nice. But it'll be all hands on deck to get them out. He thinks about 5 to 7 days to get them programmed them out there. But again, we could sit here and focus on a negative, or we could say, wow, we have teachers that are trying new things. We have teachers that are willing to try, and we're going to be a one-to-one device district in during a pandemic. I'm going to go with the second one.
Here's hoping.
You gotta
Thank
have
you.
hope.
Thank you.
What's the answer to that question?
Which question?
What's the answer to the question of what happened to Mondays?
Oh.
What happened to Mondays? What's the explanation from Mondays being direct instruction, then suddenly to live streaming, then suddenly to extra help? And who made that decision? And what interests are being put forth there?
I made the decision because I wanted, and I knew it was gonna be a tough one. We're bringing back the elementaries, which is gonna require some work, and,
But how does
Also-
that affect the
also,
middle
no, and now going live streaming, those Mondays will give us a chance to assess and help teachers, with the live streaming. So again, I made that decision, and if you're not happy with it, you can look right at me, or you can call me and come to my office, we'll talk about it.
Just for the future, Mr. Dolan, just tell us that. They just disappeared and nobody
Right.
said, and I was hoping you would
No
say, you know what, those extra hours on Monday, we're gonna use for those teachers to support them and train them and get them better at live streaming. That's a whole different scenario than just, oh, by the way, now we're not doing Mondays. It's only 40-minute sessions of extra help.
Thank you. That's it for public comment for new business. So the next Board of Education regular business meeting will be held on Thursday, October 22nd at 8 p.m. And I'm hoping we're going to be holding it in the auditorium.
Sounds like, the only problem is we can still only fit.
We can still only fit 50 people, but let's have a change and a little bit more
35,
different
but
spacing.
We'll go, yeah.
Let's bring barriers.
We're gonna go.
Yes, let's bring a child's barrier.
There you go.
So, I'm kidding,
We're
I'm
gonna
kidding.
live, live stream. It's gonna be in the auditorium.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Aye.
Good night, Chris.
Ms. Ross.